Welcome to the first day of Cornell University's Virtual Promising Futures. My name is Wava Waterman Lyons, and I'm the recruiter and student support specialist for the American Indian and Indigenous Studies program. Thank you all for Zooming in today and for your interest in Cornell. Hold on, sorry, trying to get to the next slide. There we go. So I would first like to acknowledge that Cornell resides on the ancestral homelands of the Gayogohó, or the Cayuga Nation, which is one of the 6 nations of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. In Haudenosaunee country, we open all gatherings and events with an opening, also known as the words before all else. And the Residence Hall Director of Gayogohó, Jordan Buffalo, will open this session for us today. I'll turn it over to Jordan now.
Thank you, Ava. So before we begin, I would like to say a few words that we normally say before we gather. I'd like to bring everyone together and bring our minds as one. So at this time, down at the Naganjo Guyo, Ngoyati, Neho, Ganopsek, and Wadanonyo, Gayogohó, Scano, Eswanondonyo, Danehonyo, down on Guatni going. Down and Wadanonyo, a Janok the O, Hotkawe, Neoinza de, Daneho, Nyo, down on Guatni going. Down and Wadanonyo, a Janok the O, Ne Oneganos, Daneho, Nyo, down on Guatni going. Down and Wadanonyo, a Janok the O, Hotkawe, Ne. Not quite say so down a home yacht down on Guatni going. Down it and what an on yacht and Janok to O, hot gawe, nay, see sat on Giston Darset, down a home yacht down on Guatni going. Down it and what an on yacht and Janok to O, hot gawe, nay, gate dot so down a home yacht down on Guatni going. Down it and what an on yacht and Janok to O, hot gawe, nay, what that down a home yacht down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, a janok to O, hot gawe, ne ganyo so. Down a home yacht down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, a janok to O, hot gawe, ne gate dot so. Down a home yacht down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, a janok to O, hot gawe, ne joheko, down a home yacht down on Guatni going. Down and excuse me, down and what an onyo, a janok o hot gawe, ne diewenye, down a home, nyo, down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, a janok o hot gawe, ne had they went on the jets, down a home, nyo, down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, and janok o hot gawe, ne and they cock equa, down a home, nyo, down on Guatni going. Down a home. Down and what an onyo, a janok to O, hot gawe, ne soika kakwa. Down a home, neo, down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, a janok to O, hot gawe, ne ojiston da. Down a home, neo, down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, a janok to O, wa o kione, ganyo dayo. Down a home, neo, down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, janok to go, wa o kione gay and on di hatio yak yano. Down a home, down on Guatni going. Down and what an onyo, a ho, janok to o, ho jan, doges, hot gawe, on gawe, ne, soika, songo janok to, down a home, down on Guatni going. Down a home. So at this time, those words that I said were in the language for Ganonyok as our opening address. So at the beginning, I gave thanks for the people here that we have gathered, and that there's love amongst us. And we give thanks for everyone that has good health and that our minds are together as one. From there we moved on, and we gave thanks for our Mother, the Earth, and for everything that she provides for us, and then we acknowledge that our minds are together on that. We also acknowledge the waters, or the Oneganos, which provides us and sustains us daily. And we come together and put our minds together for the water as well. We also give thanks to the medicines, the Nokwat Sayaso'o, and the medicines that are provided for us here on Mother Earth as well, Yoenza Date. We also specifically like to give thanks to our wild strawberries, and the ceremonies that we provide for that still continue to this day. We would like to acknowledge that as well. We also acknowledge the trees and give thanks for the trees, and more specifically the maple trees and the syrup and the syrup and the sustenance that provides as well. After that, we give thanks for the animals and the birds, and then the three sisters, which is the corn, beans, and the squash, the joheko, which is our life sustainers. We also acknowledge the the winds and what that provides for us, and so we put our minds together for that. We also like to give thanks for Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which is our thunders, and we still do ceremonies that give thanks for that. We also acknowledge and give thanks for the sun and the moon, and Dekakakwa and Soikakakwa. So we put our minds together for Grandma Moon and Grandfather Sun. And then we also give thanks for the stars, Ojisonda, Ganyo Dayo, which is our which is one of the messengers and the helpers. So we give our thanks for him as well. And then the four beings, which is the messengers as well. Gay Nyandi Hatil Yak is what we say in our language for them. And then finally we turn our heads towards the Creator, Songweja Nokto, and for all the creations that he has brought along to us. And then at the end we say Daneho, which is mean it is said, it has been said. So Daneho.
Thank you, Jordan, for sharing those good words. We'll start with some introductions. So as I said before, my name is Weva Waterman Lyons. I am Onondaga, Turtle Clan. My nation is also one of the 6 Haudenosaunee nations. I grew up on the Onondaga Nation and went to the Onondaga Nation School before going to the nearby Lafayette High School. And then I went to Stanford University for my bachelor's degree in Native American Studies. So I know what it's like to come from a small traditional community and then attend a large elite institution. And I know that if I can do it, that you all can do it too. After Stanford, I got a master's in social psychology from the University of Northern Iowa. And then I worked in Massachusetts for a community college where I helped people from underrepresented communities, mostly Latinx students, learn about college and how they could apply. I liked that job a lot, but I was always taught to get an education and to bring it back to benefit my people. So I decided to continue my career at Cornell, where I can help Indigenous students from not only my own community, but from Indigenous communities across the country and even the globe. So that's a little bit about me, and I will turn it over to Kurt so that he can introduce himself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Kurt Jordan. I'm a professor here at Cornell and the director of the American Indian and Indigenous Studies program. I'm also affiliated with the anthropology department here at Cornell. I am not native. I was born right near Ithaca, and I was a Cornell undergraduate. So maybe although that was, I think, about 4,000 years ago, so I'm not sure how relevant it is to all of your experiences. So I teach one of the introductory classes for the program and also courses in archaeology. So glad to have you with us, and I'll turn it over to Ula.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ula Piasta Mansfield. I am the associate director for the program. I've been with the program for the past almost 7 years. And I'm originally from Poland. I came to the United States to do my PhD in American Studies and ended up working with Seneca elders such as John Mohawk and Oren Lyon, Barry White, and also Oren Lyons, who really kind of brought me under their wing, and that's how I ended up studying Indigenous studies and focusing on Indigenous rights and especially the land rights. So I would like to welcome you all. I'm really happy to be able to interact with you today and over the next 3 sessions that we are planning for this program. Thank you. Yeah.
Newascano, Gayogohó, Jordan Parker, Buffalo. I'm the RHD, the Residence House Director at Gayogohó. I'm a Beaver Clan, and I'm from the Seneca Nation as well. I grew up in Allegheny Reservation, which is Salamanca, New York, and I spent my undergrad going through Haskell Indian Nations University, and from there I graduated from Syracuse University. So I just started my position here as the RHD in January, and I'm looking forward to working with the students and proving that and showing them that, you know, if you can get off the reservation and you can make it to anywhere that you want to be. So welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Miracle. I'm the graphic and administrative assistant here at the program. I'm Mohawk Bear Clan. I actually grew up around the Ithaca area and then also did my undergraduate degree in communications at Cornell. So I'll talk a little bit later about my kind of experience with Cornell as an undergraduate. And I really look forward to seeing what we can all learn and what we can learn about each other here at the next couple sessions. Thanks so much.
So this is just an overview of the next couple weeks. Right now, you're in the top reasons Indigenous students should apply to Cornell session. And then we will hopefully have a quick break. And then the second half of today will be a Cornell student panel. And then on Thursday, the first half will be a financial aid workshop, and the second half will be a faculty networking session. And then next Tuesday, we'll have a common application workshop. And then the following the Thursday after that, we'll have a essay workshop followed by a short closing session. So we'd like to learn a little bit more about you all and who we have with us today. So we're going to put a link in the chat where you can reply to this question: where are you zooming in from? And then we will hopefully be able to see the answers on this map. Okay, so there's the link. And then, so you click on the link and then answer the question and then come back to Zoom and we'll hopefully be able to see the answers. And let me know if the link doesn't go anywhere or something like that. Oh, here we go. We have some New Yorkers, someone from North Carolina, Oklahoma, some people out west, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, California. We have a Rhode Island, I believe. Lots of people from New York. Give it just another second. Oh yeah, we're still getting a few more. Yeah, so we got a little bit of a spread all over the US here. All right, I have another question for you all. So if you could describe Cornell in one word, what would it be? And you go back to the same link, and it should have already gone to the next question, or, oh wait, now it will go to the next question, or you could refresh the page. Well, we got one opportunity. I would agree with that. Ooh, Indigenous. Goal. Challenging. Diverse. Looks like we had more than one person write diverse. So got a couple of you thinking diverse. Magnificent. Progressive. Intriguing. Prestigious. Inspiring. Ooh. Gorgeous, I see. Powering. I think I would agree that Cornell has, you know, embodies each of these things a bit in different ways. But our main ones seem to be diverse, inspiring, and prestigious. Okay. So before I go into specifics about Cornell and the support we can offer Indigenous students, I wanted to talk quickly about financial aid. We'll also have a more in-depth session about financial aid on Thursday. So Cornell offers 100% need-based aid. So when you fill out the CSS profile and the FAFSA, they will come up with a number of how much aid your family needs. Cornell will provide 100% of that aid. Cornell guarantees that any family with a total income of less than $60,000 and total assets of less than $100,000 will have no parent contribution and no loans. Even if you do have some loans in your financial aid package, if you're awarded outside scholarships, you can apply them to these loans so that you can still graduate debt-free or with low debt. Cornell also offers award matching to offers from other need-based institutions. So now that you know that Cornell can be very affordable, Kurt will tell us a little bit about Cornell's history. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, old man mistake there. So, here we can see the seal of the university. Cornell was founded in 1865. It opened its doors in 1868, and it had its first graduating class in 1869 because several of the people who entered in 1868 were effectively transfer students, and they were able to finish up in only a year. There are 7 different undergraduate colleges, and each of those has a really sort of, I think, a different mandate and different sorts of requirements. And as you can see here, the motto of the university is, I would any person found and can find institution instruction where in any study. Oh, wait. Oh, hang on. I messed that up. Oh, geez. I feel like maybe I can do that in a Yoda voice. That might be really effective. But no, the motto is, I would found an institution where any person can find instruction in any study. That was a quotation from our founder, Ezra Cornell, and we've been really trying to live up to that motto ever since. And obviously, Indigenous people need to be part of that vision. And then, could I have the next slide, Weva? This is sort of, that's a very uplifting vision, but I think that there's also, you know, like we have to look at Cornell's history in a more realistic way. And we should note, I think it's, especially for this audience, it's especially important to state that one of the ways that Cornell was set up, the federal government gave certain amounts of land to every land grant university. There was one in every state. And you can see here, these are the parcels that were awarded to Cornell. These were, they were so-called public lands, but if you look at the history, you will find that these lands had been taken by the federal government from their indigenous occupants, in some cases very, very shortly beforehand. And in many instances, there was violence or fraud involved in the taking of the land. So I think we have to really seriously acknowledge Cornell's history and say that there are, you know, that's part of the reasons why I say we have to keep working on realizing the motto, because there are some aspects where Cornell still needs to address its own past and do better in the present. So thanks.
But the AISP history goes back about 100 years ago, when it started as an Indian extension program in agriculture and home economics with an outreach to the Haudenosaunee communities in New York State. And so that means that we are celebrating in this COVID way the centennial of the creation of the program and the formal relationships with the Haudenosaunee communities. The hallmark of that program was offering assistance, technical assistance and training to the communities, offering the so-called short courses. So you see the first class of students in this picture from that course, from the short course, and also scholarship for students, Indigenous students. As a program, AISP started in 1980s, but it was preceded and really emerged as a result of student activism calling for greater attention to recruitment and retention of Indigenous students, Indigenous faculty hires, Indigenous focused curriculum, and Indigenous Cultural Center, among other demands. Hence, you can see that students have played a vital role in the history of the program and continue to make an impact on the program as well, on Owego as well as Cornell more broadly. This year we'll be remembering those efforts, and we're also going to be celebrating the more recent initiative that led to the inclusion of the Indigenous Peoples Day in the Cornell's academic calendar, and that has been fully led by the students. However, it is also important to acknowledge that there have been very important, very significant figures in the history of the program, such as Ron LaFrance, who was Akwesasne Mohawk and the director of the program in 1980s and 1990s. He was the originator of the full circle approach to supporting Indigenous students, which Weva will speak to a little later. And he was also a force behind the founding of Owego in 1991, when really nobody thought it was actually possible. And the other former director of the program is Professor Jane Mount Pleasant, Tuscarora, and she further expanded the program with faculty hires, and she did some groundbreaking research on Indigenous agriculture, putting Indigenous ecological knowledge system front and center in her own field, the horticulture in plant sciences. Finally, more recent director, Professor Jolene Rickard, Associate Professor in History of Art and Visual Studies and Department of Art as well. She was able to reestablish the formal relationship between ASP and Gayogohó people, the Cayuga Nation, and also paved the way for the Cayuga language to be taught at Cornell by one of the few remaining speakers of the Cayuga language. And she also expanded the program to include, because previously it was the American Indian program, and we were able to add Indigenous to better reflect the scope of the research that students and faculty are doing.
So today, there are over 400 Indigenous students at Cornell. Our students come from a range of backgrounds, including Mohawk, Ojibwe, Cherokee, Navajo, among many other nations. And some of our students grew up on their territories and were involved in their cultures, while others were more removed. All Indigenous students of various background and connection are welcome at our program. As for the larger student body, last fall there were 15,043 undergraduates, a little over half of which are women, and 46% come from a multicultural background. They also come from all 50 states and over 120 nations. You will be able to hear from some of our current students later tonight. And now we have a little bit of trivia for you. So, which of the following foods was invented at Cornell? French fries, chicken nuggets, avocado toast, or shark fin soup? And to answer, you go back to the poll Ev link in the chat. So far, we have a three-way tie. Oh, chicken nuggets coming out on top. Chicken nuggets or avocado toast. All right, we'll keep it there. So you all think avocado toast, and the answer actually is chicken nuggets, which was the second most popular answer. They were invented by Robert C. Baker, who was in poultry science and food science, which is in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, which is also known as CALS. So CALS is just one of Cornell's colleges and schools. Cornell has an incredible depth and breadth of academic offerings. When you will apply to one of these colleges and schools. So these colleges are the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, the College of Agriculture, Architecture, Art and Planning, and the College of Business, which has the School of Hotel Administration, the Charles H. Dyson School of Applied Economics and Management, the College of Engineering, the College of Human Ecology, and the School of Industrial and Labor Relations. With 4,000 courses in 100 academic departments and over 80 majors, you'll be able to dive deep into something that truly interests you, but also be able to explore your other interests. You might be a little worried about the size of your classes with all the undergraduate students, but 76% of classes have fewer than 30 students and 88% have less than 50 students. I encourage you to look at each of these colleges and schools more in depth on your own time. And we are also having a faculty networking session on Thursday, and faculty from almost all of the colleges will be there. So I encourage you to attend that session.
Okay, so I'm going to say a little bit about the types of courses that we offer directly through the program. So we offer a number of different courses, and you can see some of the ones that are going on right now. This isn't the full list. It's a long poster, and we cut off the bottom part of it, but just to make it fit. But these are some of the courses that are related to American Indian and Indigenous studies. So one of the things that we do is we have academic offerings, and we also have an undergraduate minor. This is something that you can do if you're in any college at Cornell. So you can do it through engineering, through arts and sciences, through CALS, through the hotel school, wherever you are, you can do this. It usually involves 5 classes and 15 credits, and you have to take a couple of introductory courses. We have one called Indigenous North America, which is taught in the fall, and then we have a second one called Indigenous Issues in Global Perspective, which is offered in the spring. So we have a variety of offerings. I think if you look at all of the faculty that we have across Cornell, we have offerings in anthropology, archaeology, literature, law, art history, the creative arts, filmmaking, and you can see Professor Jeffrey Palmer. This is a poster from one of his films that was actually, the series was nominated for an Emmy this year, but he teaches in performing and media arts. We have other professors who work in fiber science and apparel design, natural resources, education, history, language instruction, and there obviously you can see the Cayuga language and culture course that Wava just mentioned, linguistics, and also sort of in decolonial theory and indigenous thought. You can sample all of those things, and if you take 5 of our courses in the right combination, you can end up with an academic minor. I also wanted to mention the Native faculty members who are currently at Cornell. So you've heard discussion about a couple of them. So we have Professor Jolene Rickard, who is a visual artist and also an art historian, who is Tuscarora. We have Jeffrey Palmer, who is a filmmaker, who is Kiowa. We have Troy Richardson, who is Tuscarora and Saponi, who teaches courses in education and decolonial theory. We also have Shawano Chad Uran, who's Ojibwe, who is teaching in the English department this semester. And we also have Danielle Lazore Thompson, who is teaching in the law school right now, who is Mohawk. And also Meredith Palmer, who is a postdoc. She's not quite here yet. She's going to start in November in science and technology studies, and she is Tuscarora. So thanks.
So in addition to the minor, another way to enrich your studies is that you will have the opportunity to study abroad and also to engage in undergraduate research. We have study abroad in over 40 countries and off-campus semesters, such as the Cornell and Washington program in DC. Your financial aid package does travel with you for these programs. Engaging in undergraduate research is another amazing opportunity because you can apply what you've been learning in your classes to solving important problems. This is also a great chance to get to know your professors better, and they can serve as a mentor to you throughout your education. On the left is a picture of students in France, and the middle picture is of Fred Blaisdell, who is Oneida from the Thames, and he researched First Nations nutrition and health issues. And the last picture is of Madison Stevens, who is Six Nations Mohawk, and she's giving a poster presentation about her neuropsychology research. And to help our students get the most out of all the experiences Cornell has to offer, such as engaging in undergraduate research, our program offers enrichment and experiential funding to our students. So at Cornell, there are places where Indigenous students can feel at home and find support if they need it. One of those places is the 4th floor of Caldwell Hall. My office is there, and I can help you during the application process and with your essays. And while you're at Cornell, I can help you troubleshoot any problems you might be experiencing, from academic issues to financial problems to personal and career advice. We have a variety of resources that you can utilize, such as a student lounge and computer lab, a food pantry and kitchenette, and a conference room and library. We also hold skill building workshops, such as time management. Because of the support students receive at Cornell, we have one of the highest retention and graduation rates for Indigenous students across the country. Another way we support students is by hosting a number of events to build community and promote Indigenous issues. Every fall, we hold a welcome barbecue, and this is a picture of that event last fall on the left. We hold weekly soup lunches and faculty fellows dinners every Tuesday. We also have a speaker series that is open to the public. One of the speakers this past year was Stephen Newcomb, who is Shawnee and Lenape, and he spoke about the doctrine of discovery. There are a lot of noteworthy Indigenous people, artists, and scholars who are doing important work across Indian country, and we want to promote that work and share it with our students and the public. And this is just a picture of our students hanging out on the right. And now I will turn it over to Jordan, who will talk about Gayogohó.
Thank you, Ava. So thank you. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about Gayogohó. Gayogohó is the premier residence house for the American Indian Indigenous Studies program, and we're situated on North Campus as well. We have space within our residence hall for 35 students, and we opened in 1991, making it the nation's first university residence hall. We were established to celebrate American Indian culture and heritage, and Gayogohó means all of us in the Mohawk language. So here at Gayogohó, most of our residents represent diverse cultures and backgrounds, and roughly half are Native American. So, but whatever the cultural background or tribal nationality, we strive to give residents an experience that really share an interest in past and contemporary Native issues and the importance of the community and the extended family. So some of the events that we hold here at Gayogohó also look to mirror some of the cultural background and celebrate some of the heritage that the house also represents. So in some of the pictures that you see here, we like to incorporate a lot of symbols within the house that represent a lot of meaning from tribes all across the nation. So a couple of events that we had recently was the virtual passing of the rattle event, which was last week. We had a guest who zoomed in, a few guests that zoomed in from across the Confederacy and helped us to share some songs. And it was actually, it was a pretty nice event. So I'm looking forward to build on the cultural aspect and still instill a sense of community, even still during this time of COVID. So I'm looking forward to having more residents in the house. So thank you for coming tonight.
Okay, so I have another question for you all. What do you like to do outside of school? And you can go back to the link in the chat, or if it's already up, you might need to refresh your page. Okay. Oh, a lot of sports. Okay. I was also involved in sports, still sometimes, a little bit, softball. We have some for video and computer games, some cooking and baking, reading, arts and crafts, a little bit of other, lots of sports. Okay, so you'll be able to continue your hobbies, the things you like to do outside of school at Cornell, and find other people who like them too. Cornell has over 1,200 student organizations, as well as varsity sports, intramural sports, and a variety of PE classes. They have clubs and organizations related to each of these activities here, such as the Big Red Cheese Club, the Swing Dance Club, or the Artistic Beads Club. And you also might want to try something completely new, and joining a club is a great way to do that. And 4 of these 1,200 student organizations are the Indigenous student groups. We have 2 main undergraduate student groups, one of which is Native American and Indigenous students at Cornell, or NASAC. The first picture on the left is of them going to the Ivy Native conference last year. And the next picture is of a donation drive that they held to support a blockade that was in support of the Wet'suwet'en, who are fighting a pipeline being put through their lands. And they also just do fun things together, like go on hikes and see waterfalls. The American Indian Science and Engineering Society, also known as ACES, is the other main undergraduate group, and they went to the national conference in Wisconsin last year, and they often go to the regional conferences. We also have graduate student groups such as the Indigenous Graduate Student Association, and the Native American Law Student Association. Hawaii Club and the Pacific Islander Student Group are also sometimes affiliated with us. So Cornell has a number of traditions that are really fun and happen every year. Cornell hockey is really big at Cornell, and the fans are extra dedicated, and I'll let Ben tell you a little more about that in a minute. There's also Dragon Day, which features a dragon that is built by the first-year architects, paraded around campus, and then is ceremoniously destroyed. And every spring we have Slope Day, which is a celebration after the last day of classes in the spring semester and features a huge party on Lieb Slope with carnival games, food, and live musical acts. Past performers have included Nelly, Chance the Rapper, and Easy. Ben, since you went here as an undergraduate, will you tell us a little more about your experience?
Sure, thanks, Wave. Yeah, so I'll start just with Dragon Day. So that's always a great time where the architect students, the first year architect students actually basically spend night and day for about a month building a specially designed dragon. And then they parade it down the street all the way to the architecture quad. And that's essentially to mock the architects because there's always been this like age-old battle of architecture versus engineering. So some years the engineering students actually will get together and they actually build a phoenix, and there's kind of like this ceremonious battle on the engineering quad. It always ends up with the dragon having to retreat to the arts quad, where it essentially, it ceremoniously dies. And years ago, it's been happening for decades now. It actually used to be burned on campus, but for obvious safety reasons, they don't really allow that anymore. And then also just talking about those sort of traditions that make Cornell extremely special. That top left picture you see is actually of Slope Day. And oddly enough, I actually recognize some of my colleagues in that picture. But Slope Day is just this gigantic celebration of the last day of classes. It's a lot of fun, and it really brings all of Cornell together. And then one of those other things that really brings Cornell together is the esteemed Cornell hockey team, which has always traditionally been an extremely talented team led by extremely talented coaches as well. And actually this last hockey season, Cornell was essentially in line to win it all before COVID unfortunately cut it short. But the Cornell fans that go to the stadium are known as the Line of Faithful, which I would actually say I am myself. And just to show you, I pulled out my jersey here because I still happen to go to as many games per season as I can. And you'll see there. But I'll just end it with Go Big Red.
Thank you for sharing, Ben. As for the area surrounding Cornell, Ithaca itself is really beautiful. They have a lot of gorges and waterfalls. You can see in this picture that Cayuga Lake is also right there, making for some really beautiful hikes. Ithaca has been named one of the top 100 places to live, a top recreation city, a best green place to live, and one of the foodiest towns in America. There's always a lot to do, and they have a lot of festivals, art, theaters, and live music. So for those of us in and around Ithaca, what is your favorite place in Ithaca? My favorite is the Cayuga Lake Waterfront Trail that goes along Cayuga Lake and the canal, and it's really nice to just be by the water.
I'll go. I like really going to Tehanic Falls, and then I like all the hiking areas that's around Ithaca and really close to Ithaca. So it's pretty hard to choose which one's my favorite, but I'm still exploring to find which one I guess may be the best, and I'll be able to get back to you on that.
Yeah, I think I was having a hard time with this one, but I was thinking about a couple of restaurants that are downtown There's a really great Ethiopian restaurant called Howie, and there's a really good South Asian restaurant called Diamonds. So there's a lot of there's a surprising amount, surprisingly diverse array of cuisines that are available in Ithaca.
Yeah, I love Ithaca's farmers market, which is always full of surprises, and it's you can not only get the fresh produce, but also there's a lot of people who come with their own kind of cuisines and other things. And it's also by the water, so it's it's a wonderful place to actually come and relax for a little bit. And it's still working, so despite the COVID.
Yeah, so one of my actual sort of underrated favorite places to find myself and sort of a good place to sort of respect how picturesque and aesthetic Ithaca is actually the Johnson Museum, which is actually pictured on the left there. It's that more modern looking building toward the back. And it not only does it have a lot of beautiful art and in sculpture there, but it actually also has possibly the best view of the lake from those north-facing windows. It is definitely one of the best places to try to get yourself up there during the fall when the leaves are changing. So just about now, which, you know, hopefully when things open up again, we can get back up there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Ithaca has a lot of really nice places. So for admissions, there are 2 application deadlines, one for early decision and one for regular decision. If Cornell is your #1 choice and you're 100% sure you want to go here, you should apply early decision because your chances of getting in are a little better. But if you want to keep your options open, you should apply regular decision. For early decision, you will need to submit your application by November 16th. And this has been moved a little later than previous years. And one thing I want to point out is that Cornell has waived the ACT or SAT requirement for this coming fall. However, they do still want you to take one of the tests if you can. You will also have to submit essays, and I want to emphasize that the supplemental essay is very important when applying to Cornell. They want to see that you're a fit for the college you're applying for and that the college is a fit for you. We're having an essay workshop next week, so make sure that you come to that. Also, look at the requirements for the specific college you're applying for. For instance, some colleges require portfolios, interviews, and some require resumes. After you apply, you will have to submit your financial aid application by November 21st. Admissions, decisions, and aid awards are announced in mid-December, and you will have to reply to your offer of admission by early January. For regular decision, the application deadline is January 2nd. The financial aid deadline is February 15th. Decisions and aid awards are announced in early April, and you have to respond to your offer of admission by May 1st. I also want to point out that you can transfer into Cornell if you are not ready to apply this year or if you are not accepted this year. It depends a little bit on which college or school you apply to, but Cornell actually accepts a lot of transfer students, and the transfer acceptance rate is better than the regular decision acceptance rate. So if you don't happen to come here next year, if you're a senior, but you would like to apply to transfer, make sure to reach out to us so that we can make sure you're taking classes that would transfer in. The College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, for instance, has transfer agreements with 42 colleges. So one last question for the night. For you, what is the top reason why Indigenous students should apply to Cornell? Oh, and I went to the next one. Okay, all right. Got it to work now. See, opportunity is a pretty top reason. Affordable, resources, Indigenous, community. Supportive, Aguego, NASAC. I like the way these look, these word clouds. It's cool. Help. Sickness. Okay. If that was more than one word, it splits them up, so then it doesn't really make sense.